Only the mirror knew that to the world he was just another drifter, but beneath the disguise pulsed the heart of Keanu Reeves, the elusive CEO of Beanhaven Coffee. He hadn't set foot in one of his 15 cafes as a customer in years, until whispers of chaos reached his ears. Plummeting sales, disgruntled staff, and a kindness gone cold. Today he was no suit, just Mark, a nobody with sharp eyes and a knowing hunch. What he saw next froze him mid-step. A trembling figure rejected at the counter, clutching a plastic bag like a lifeline. Why was Mercy a stranger here? Stick around, dear reader, and tell me what you would do if the truth stared back through a cracked facade. Keanu tugged the brim of his gray cap lower, the fake scruffy beard itching against his jaw. As he adjusted the thick glasses perched on his nose, he recognized himself in the reflection of his car window. No trace of the polished CEO who built Beanhaven, a chain of 15 coffee shops spanning the state. Once a regular on business magazine covers, today he was just Mark, a scruffy nobody on a mission. It had been years since he'd walked into one of his own locations as a customer, and his stomach churned with nerves. The boardroom felt a world away, now replaced by a nagging need to see the truth for himself. For weeks, reports had piled up like unpaid bills. Customer complaints about rude service, staff quitting in droves, and sales slipping at several locations. Regional managers fed him excuses, supply chain hiccups, tough competition, but Keanu wasn't buying it anymore. He had built Beanhaven from a single shop into a thriving chain by trusting his gut, and that gut told him something was rotting beneath the surface. Tired of filtered reports, he decided to go undercover, starting with a location flagged for shaky management. If he wanted answers, he'd get them raw, unpolished, and straight from the source. The coffee shop sat in a middle-class neighborhood, not the busiest spot in the chain, but one that had racked up enough red flags to warrant a visit. Keanu pushed through the door, the bell above jingling faintly. The hum of conversation and the clatter of cups greeted him, but he kept his head down, blending into the line of customers. Employees moved with a sluggish air, nothing chaotic, just uninspired. His eyes darted to a woman with a manager's name tag pinned to her shirt. Lisa. She stood off to the side, scrolling on her phone, her posture screaming disinterest. Keanu's jaw tightened. This was the new hire the regional team had praised as efficient. He'd see about that. He shuffled forward in line, hands in his pockets, observing a young cashier in her early 20s, harried and fumbling with orders, her fingers tapping nervously on the register. The other staff lingered, chatting idly, barely pitching in. Keanu was about to step up to order when movement near the entrance caught his eye. A man edged inside, his clothes tattered and stained, a plastic bag clutched in his hands. His weathered face carried the weight of too many hard nights, and his steps faltered as he scanned the room, unsure. Keanu watched, breath held, waiting to see what would happen. Lisa snapped to attention, her phone dropping to her side as she strode toward the man, her voice cutting through the air like a whip. "Hey you, out!" she barked, arms crossed. "We don't serve people like you here." The man flinched, raising a shaky hand. "I just want some water," he mumbled, barely audible. "I'm not bothering anyone." Lisa's eyes narrowed, her tone rising. "I said no. This isn't a handout spot. Get lost before I call the cops." Keanu's chest tightened, a slow burn of anger flickering to life. The man's shoulders slumped, defeat etched into every line of his body. "Sorry," he muttered, turning toward the door, his plastic bag rustling faintly. Keanu couldn't stay silent. "Wait," he said, stepping out of line. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried enough weight to make Lisa whip her head around. She glared at him, her lips curling. "This doesn't concern you," she snapped, folding her arms tighter. Keanu ignored her, moving toward the man. "You just want water, right?" he asked, keeping his tone steady. The man nodded, his tired eyes flickering with faint hope. "I'll leave right after, I swear." Keanu turned back to Lisa, his gaze locking onto hers. "It's just water. Why can't he have a cup?" Lisa rolled her eyes, her voice dripping with disdain. "We're not a charity. People like him scare off paying customers. You wouldn't get it." The words hit Keanu like a punch. He clenched his fists, forcing his anger down, keeping his cover intact. "I'll pay for it," he said, his voice low but firm. "Give him a cup and a meal while you're at it." Lisa's mouth opened, ready to argue, but something in his stare made her hesitate. She huffed, jerking her head toward the counter. "Fine, whatever. Your money." Keanu handed the man a cup and pointed to a corner table. "Take your time," he said. "You're not in anyone's way." The man nodded, gratitude flashing in his eyes as he shuffled off. Keanu turned back to the line, his mind racing. Lisa returned to her phone, muttering under her breath, while the young cashier shot him a quick, nervous glance, half thankful, half wary. He introduced himself as Mark when he reached the counter, ordering a black coffee to keep up the act. As he waited, he studied Lisa again. Her attitude, the staff's lethargy, the man's humiliation. It all painted a picture he didn't like. This wasn't just one bad day. It was a symptom of something deeper. He'd come for answers and he'd found a mess, but he wasn't done yet. Tomorrow he'd dig deeper. For now, he sipped his coffee, the bitter taste mirroring the unease settling in his gut. The next morning, Keanu Reeves pulled his cap lower and slipped back into Beanhaven. His fake beard still itching but his resolve sharper than ever. He decided to push his undercover stint further, posing as a new hire to get behind the counter. Notebook tucked in his pocket, he approached Lisa, who barely glanced up from her phone. "Hi, I'm Mark," he said, scratching the back of his head to sell the nervous newbie act. "I'm supposed to start today. They said to check in with the manager." Lisa sighed, her eyes flicking over him like he was a minor inconvenience. "We're slammed," she muttered, waving a hand toward the counter. "Shadow Nina for now. She'll show you the ropes." Without another word, she went back to scrolling. Keanu nodded and moved toward Nina, the young cashier he'd noticed yesterday. She was in her early 20s, her dark hair pulled into a messy bun. Her movements quick but strained as she juggled orders. "Hey, I'm Mark," he said, offering a small smile. Nina glanced at him, her hazel eyes wary but kind. "Hi, Mark. Didn't know we had a new guy today," she said, her voice soft. "It's kind of a mess here, but I'll walk you through it." Keanu liked her instantly. There was a quiet grit to her, a flicker of warmth despite the chaos. Nina handed him an apron and started explaining the basics. Punching orders into the register, pouring coffee, handling the rush. As they worked, Keanu kept one eye on Lisa. She hovered near the counter, barking orders when she bothered to look up. "Nina, speed it up," she snapped at one point, even as Nina wrestled with a line of 6 customers. Keanu gritted his teeth, pouring a latte while watching Lisa do nothing to help. Nina just nodded, her jaw tight, and kept going. She was good EFF. Scient, polite, but the pressure was wearing her thin. The tension spiked an hour into the shift when a woman in a tailored blazer stormed up to the counter, her heels clicking sharply. "This is ridiculous," she said, slamming a cup down. "I ordered a soy latte, not this sugary garbage. I'm a regular here." "Doesn't that mean anything?" Keanu recognized her type, a VIP customer, the kind who expected the world to bend for her. Nina paled, reaching for the cup. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. I'll fix it right now." Before she could, Lisa swooped in, her voice dripping with fake concern. "What's the problem here?" The woman glared. "The problem is your staff can't get a simple order right. I don't have time for this." Lisa didn't hesitate. "Nina, what's wrong with you today?" she said loudly, turning heads. "You're making us look bad. Fix it and don't mess up again." Keanu's fists clenched in his apron pockets, but he stayed quiet, pulling out his notebook. When Lisa turned away, he scribbled. Lisa blamed staff for her own failures. Nina overworked, unsupported. His pen dug into the paper, anger simmering beneath his calm facade. As the day wore on, Lisa's behavior only worsened. She snapped at a teenage barista for asking about a shift change, ignored a spilled tray of cups, and rolled her eyes when an elderly man asked for help reaching the sugar packets. Meanwhile, Nina hustled, wiping counters, refilling stock, even apologizing to customers Lisa had offended. Keanu shadowed her, pretending to learn but really cataloging every move. "Does she ever pitch in?" he asked during a rare lull, nodding toward Lisa. Nina hesitated, glancing over her shoulder. "Not really," she admitted. "She says managing is her job, not grunt work." Keanu's stomach twisted. This wasn't management. It was laziness dressed up as authority. He jotted another note. Lisa disengaged, toxic staff morale low. The shift stretched into late afternoon, and the tension thickened. A young couple complained their drinks were cold. Lisa told them to deal with it before retreating to her phone. Nina stepped in, remaking the order with an apology, her shoulders slumping as Lisa watched with a smirk. Keanu's blood boiled, but he kept his cover, asking Nina casual questions to gauge her limits. "How do you keep going?" he said, wiping down a table beside her. She shrugged, her voice barely above a whisper. "I need the job. My brother's in school and I help out. Plus, some customers are nice." He nodded, respect growing. Nina was the heartbeat of this place, and Lisa was choking it out. By shift's end, Keanu had pages of notes and a fire in his chest he couldn't ignore. He'd seen enough to confirm the reports, and then some. Tomorrow he'd push harder. For now, he slipped his notebook away, the weight of what he'd witnessed settling like lead. The lunch rush had barely subsided when Keanu Reeves, still undercover as Mark, wiped down a counter beside Nina. His notebook burned a hole in his pocket, filled with 2 days' worth of damning notes about Lisa's reign over Bean Haven. He'd planned to bide his time, gather more evidence, but the air in the coffee shop crackled with a tension he couldn't ignore. Nina darted between the register and the espresso machine, her exhaustion plain, while Lisa lounged near the back, scrolling her phone as usual. Keanu kept his head down, waiting for the next crack in the facade. Came faster than he expected. The door swung open and a woman stepped in, a toddler clinging to her leg. She was in her 30s, her coat frayed at the edges, a diaper bag slung over one shoulder. The kid whimpered, rubbing his eyes, and she hushed him softly as she approached the counter. "Can I get a small coffee?" she asked Nina, her voice tired but polite. Before Nina could ring it up, the toddler's whimpers turned into a sharp cry echoing through the shop. The woman crouched, whispering apologies to him, but Lisa's head snapped up like a predator spotting prey. "Hey," Lisa barked, storming over. "You need to take that noise outside. This isn't a daycare." The woman straightened, her face flushing. "I'm sorry, he's just tired. I'll calm him down. I only need a minute." Lisa cut her off, her voice rising. "I don't care. Paying customers don't want to hear your kid screaming. Get out." Keanu froze, his rag still in hand, watching the scene unfold. Nina stepped forward, her voice shaky but firm. "Lisa, it's fine. I'll get her order quick. She's not bothering anyone." Lisa whirled on her, eyes blazing. "Excuse me. You don't tell me what's fine." Nina kept mouthing off and Lisa snapped. "Keep mouthing off and you're out of a job." Nina flinched but didn't back down. "She's a customer. We don't treat people like this." The toddler wailed louder, and Lisa's patience snapped. "That's it. Both of you out now." The words hit Keanu like a match to gasoline. He dropped the rag, his pulse hammering. He'd seen enough, too much. The single mother clutched her son, tears welling as she turned to leave, and Nina's hands balled into fists, her face pale with fury. Keanu couldn't let another second slide. "Stop," he said. His voice low but cutting through the din. Lisa spun toward him, her lip curling. "You again. Stay out of this, newbie, or you're done too." Keanu took a breath, then reached up, pulling off the cap and peeling away the fake beard. The glasses came next, clattering onto the counter. The transformation was instant. His sharp jawline, dark eyes, and quiet intensity replaced Mark with Keanu Reeves, CEO of Beanhaven. A gasp rippled through the shop. Nina's jaw dropped, her eyes darting between him and Lisa. Customers whispered, phones lifting to snap pictures. Lisa's smirk vanished, her face draining of color. "I'm Keanu Reeves," he said, his tone steady but edged with steel. "I own this place, all 15 of them. For 2 days I've watched how you run things, Lisa, and it ends now." He turned to the room, raising his voice. "Everyone, staff and customers, I'm sorry you've had to deal with this. It's not what Beanhaven stands for." He fixed his gaze on Lisa. "You're done. Fired. Effective immediately." The shop erupted. Staff froze, cups clattering to the floor. The single mother stood rooted by the door, her toddler quieting as she stared. Nina covered her mouth, tears brimming, but Lisa didn't budge. Her shock twisted into rage, her voice a snarl. "You can't fire me like this. I've kept this dump running while you sit in your fancy office." She slammed her phone down, stepping closer. "You think you can waltz in here, play hero, and kick me out? I've got rights." Keanu held his ground, unflinching. "You've had chances to do better. You chose to bully staff, scare off customers, and turn this place into a joke. I'm the owner. I decide who stays." Lisa laughed, a harsh, jagged sound. "Oh, you're a real saint, huh? Coming in disguise like some coward. You don't know half of what it takes to run this." She grabbed her bag, shoving past Nina hard enough to make her stumble. "I'm not leaving. Call the cops if you want. I'll sue you for everything." Chaos broke loose. Customers shouted, some cheering Keanu, others yelling at Lisa. A barista ducked into the back, panicked, while another tried to calm the crowd. Lisa stormed behind the counter, knocking over a stack of cups, screaming about unfair treatment. Keanu stepped forward, his voice rising. "Lisa, leave now or security's next. This isn't a debate." She hurled a tray at him. He dodged it, the plastic skittering across the floor. Nina grabbed his arm, pulling him back. "She's unhinged. Be careful." Lisa's eyes blazed, her chest heaving. "You'll regret this, Reeves. All of you." She snatched her phone and bolted for the door, shoving the single mother aside as she went. The woman yelped, clutching her son tighter, and Keanu rushed over. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, dazed. "Yeah, thank you." The shop buzzed with adrenaline, staff huddling, customers filming. Keanu turned to Nina, his expression softening. "You stood up for her. That took guts." Nina wiped her eyes, still reeling. I couldn't let her do that." Keanu nodded, then faced the room. "Everyone, stay calm. We're sorting this out." His heart pounded, the weight of his reveal sinking in. He'd fired Lisa, but the real fight was just beginning. The air in Beanhaven still buzzed with the aftermath of Lisa's exit, the clatter of her thrown tray echoing in Keanu Reeves' mind. He stood at the center of the coffee shop, his cap and beard gone, his CEO presence undeniable. Customers lingered, some whispering, others slipping out after the chaos. The staff hovered, shell-shocked, their eyes darting between Keanu and the door Lisa had stormed through. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. The reveal had been a grenade. Now he had to rebuild from the rubble. "Nina," he said, turning to the young cashier who had stood up to Lisa. Her hands trembled, but her gaze met his. "You've been the backbone here," he continued. "I saw it yesterday, and I saw it today with that mother. I'm promoting you to assistant manager, effective now. You've earned it." Nina's eyes widened, a tear slipping down her cheek. "Me? Are you sure?" she whispered. Keanu nodded, a faint smile breaking through. "Never been more sure. You've got heart and grit. This place needs that." The staff murmured, some nodding, others exchanging uneasy glances. Keanu raised his voice to address them all. "Lisa's gone. She's not coming back. I've let this shop slide too long, and that's on me." But starting today, we're fixing it. I promise you better support, better leadership. You deserve that." He paused, scanning their faces. Hope flickered in some, doubt in others.